Welcome to Recreate the Plate. Today we are going to recreate potato soup. I got this recipe from Preppy Kitchen, and so we're going to get started. We're just going to, I have 3 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes, so we're going to get these washed up and diced up. Just going to peel them right onto the countertop. I'm fortunate to have a sink that I can just push it all down into. I have made this recipe before, loved it. It did turn out, so we're going to see today if it turns out again. Using a potato peeler. This is an old family potato peeler, love it. I found that when I used to just use a knife to peel potatoes, and I found that I cut half of the potato away. And so I started trying a potato peeler. And some don't fit your hand well, and I found that it's very hard. And then my husband, I ended up getting this one from my husband's mother and my mother-in-law, and I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do when this one breaks. It's probably over 40 years old. You actually could leave the peelings on for potato soup, but I'm not a fan of the peelings. Almost there. Okay. Then I'm going to rinse the potatoes. Little trick, I'm going to put my peelings right down into a plastic bag. Slide them right off into there. Good. I'm going to cut the pieces a little smaller just because when I eat potato soup, I don't really like the large chunks of potato. I like them kind of smaller, so I'm going to cut them smaller. Let's rinse that off. Okay, potatoes are all cut up. Again, this was 3 pounds of Yukon Gold. I'm going to give them a final rinse. Back in the bowl, and then I will put a little water over them and set them to the side. Okay, we'll set these to the side and move on to the next step. Next ingredient, we need 8 slices of bacon, so I'm just going to get the bacon going, fried up. Open it up. Several strips in, get the burner going. I'm just going to cook it on maybe just a medium flame, not cook it too fast. Get it going. We just want to get it, and we're not actually going to put the bacon in the soup unless we use it as just a topping, but we're actually going to use the drippings from the bacon. Actually goes in the soup. So this piece kind of fell apart, but we'll use it. Using my hands just like I would. Plenty at a time. Like you probably do too. Okay. Flip over. That's 5. 6. We're gonna make it fit. I don't think there's anything better than bacon, the smell of bacon frying. You want to have enough grease left over. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on the bacon as it cooks up, and while it's cooking up, I'm going to turn it down just a little lower. We'll keep an eye on that, but we're going to come over and get the onion chopped. So this is a nice size onion, but we're going to the recipe said to give it a rough chop, so we're going to kind of peel the peelings off. And rough chop to me means kind of large. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to cut the onion just a little bit through the peeling and see if I can get that outer peeling off. Not as hard to do. There we go, got it started. Peel that right off. Use my knife sometimes like this. Get the skin going. Straight. There we go. Okay, that's nice. I'm going to scrape my peelings to the side. In the sink. Okay. Slice this up. It jumped away. Let's bring that back. Then I'm going to turn it and chop this way a little bit. I'm going to use a larger knife. I'm going to use this knife. Ooh, that's nice. Nice chopping. Watch your fingers. Okay. Obviously not a professional, but we get the job done. Okay. This side. Oh, this knife cuts good. Okay. I would call that rough cut. Maybe I'll cut it up just a little bit extra. That's the size they're going to be in your soup. Okay, I'm feeling good about the size of the onions. A couple pieces, just a little big here on the edge. Go through it one more time. Okay. Looks good. That's a lot of onion. I'm wondering, I might not use all of this. That's a lot of onion. Compared to my hand. I might end up using maybe this much. This larger pile. Well, I'm going to saute it now. I'm going to saute all of it. And then we'll see what it looks like after I saute it. But right now it's looking like a lot of onion. Just seems like too much maybe to me. Okay. Okay, I'm going to check the bacon. I'm going to turn it over. Ooh, it's so crispy. Looking good. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn this burner on medium to medium high heat. Ooh, it's popping. I'll turn it back down to low. Make sure it's on low. I'm gonna get a little butter. This is butter that has a little bit of canola oil in it, so I'm just going to use a little bit of this. I'm going to saute the onions. Got the heat going. I'm just going to put a little bit of butter in there just to keep them from sticking. Okay. Whoops. Do y'all do that? Make a mess? Making a mess? All right. Move my butter around a little bit. Oh, that looks good. Now, I'll put my large amount of onions in. That's a lot of onions. We're not making onion soup, so again, I don't know that I'm going to use all that. All right. But since we have it, we're going to do them. Those are pretty. Okay. Check this bacon again. Bacon's looking good. When I say looking good, it's looking crispy. Looking pretty brown, so I'm going to get a little plate and roll paper towels to drain the bacon on. Okay, again, it's the grease is what we're interested in here with the bacon. So you'll have to wait and see what we do with this grease. It's interesting. I'm going to turn the heat off so my grease doesn't start smoking. As you can see, it already is. Left it on too long. Okay, so here's how the bacon turned out. It's good, crispy. Set this to the side. And the grease is what we're interested in. So let's see if we get a good shot of how much grease. The recipe said use half of the grease, but I have made this before. And I ended up using all of the grease, and you'll see why. And we'll see what happens with it. Okay, so I'm going to let this cool down, and I'm just going to sit it on this back burner, but the grease is what we want to save. We want to save that. We're going to use that. We're going to just check the onions. It is smelling so good in this kitchen. All right, we'll just let those go for a couple minutes. And I always like to pick up the kitchen, clean up things as I go. This is how I cook. I'm burning the onions. So that's what happens when I try to do too much at one time. So I'm going to turn the flame down, way down, and we're going to hope that adds flavor to this soup. Oh my goodness. I might try to pick out some of the really burnt pieces like that. I might try to pick some of those out. It's getting pretty soft. I don't even have it on the burner right now, and they're still, pan so hot, they're still cooking. Okay. So, try not to burn your onions. Okay, I cooked them too high. I had my heat too high and stepped away. But they're getting soft. You see how they get soft? Getting real soft looking. People say translucent, like you can kind of see through them now. All right. That's probably good. Okay, next step. Okay, so I'm going to take the grease that we had, and since I've made this before, and I knew that I wanted all of the grease because it got really dry before, and I just ended up using all the grease. So, and it's really not that much. It only looks like maybe 3 tablespoons if I were to measure that out. So I'm going to pour that down into a pot that I want to end up making my soup actually in. So this was just to get the grease. And I'm going to scrape some of the drippings off here. And so it's going to be loud for just a moment. This is going to give the soup even more flavor. Just a chance. I'm just going to get all of that grease. Okay. Not that much. Set this to the side. We're finished with that. Okay. You can see not that much grease. Now, I have drained and rinsed, or I rinsed and drained the potatoes, and I'm just going to get the heat going to about a medium. I'm bad to cook everything too high, so we're going to do this at medium. The grease is going to heat up, and I'm going to just dump the potatoes in. And I'm going to have a big spoon ready. And we're going to cook these potatoes in this grease. And we're going to add the onions in. This is going to start giving it, oh, such good flavor. Y'all, should I put all of these onions in? That was a large onion. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. When we eat it, I'll let you know if it had too much onions in it. Okay. Now, I'm going to grab a pot holder. Starting to sizzle. You have to keep this stirred, I found. You have to kind of keep your potatoes. So we're going to do this for about 5 minutes, and you'll see that your potatoes will start to soften on the outside a little bit. Obviously, they're not going to be cooked all the way through. And one just hopped out of the pot. So for about 5 minutes, we're going to just, on a medium heat, we're going to let that go. Stirring frequently. I would say frequently. This is just going to really coat the potatoes in that bacon grease and onion. Oh, and garlic. If you have garlic, fresh garlic, that's fine. I would say use 2 to 3 cloves. I didn't have any, but I did have minced garlic. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of garlic in. I'm going to kind of drain the juice off of it. So that's, I would prefer fresh garlic, but again, didn't have any. So improvise. Use what you have. So we're gonna put that in. I might use just a little more. Okay. All right. And now, continue to stir. Let's get that flavor going. So this is a recipe that I did see on YouTube and decided to try it to see if I could recreate it. So I have recreated it before and it was fabulous. So I'm hoping for the same result today. I've never made it for my daughter. She's home, so we're gonna see how she likes it. Burnt pieces of onion and all. Okay, that's probably been about 5 minutes. I've been continuing to stir. Okay, so now we are going to take a 1/4 cup of flour. I think you can use any flour. This happens to be self-rising flour. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in. Now we do want to cook this now for about 2 more minutes, because if you don't cook flour, I do know that it'll taste like flour. So we want to be sure the flour is good and cooked. I'm going to turn that burner down just a bit to kind of it's between low and medium. And I am going to stir, 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 so I do not burn it for about 2 minutes. You can see how the potatoes are starting to, you know, look soft and a little mushy. They're not cooked all the way through still, but they are so full of flavor right now. This flour, you know, I think it's like creating like a little roux, which will kind of thicken up a little bit when we put in the next ingredients. Okay, all right. I'm feeling like that's 2 minutes, so I'm going to turn the burner off for just a minute and get my next ingredients ready. Next, we're going to pour in 4 cups of chicken broth, and we're going to pour this in slowly. So, open that. So we'll take this whole container, and this is 4 cups. So I'm going to pour a little in. Turn the burner back on low. I'm going to stir a bit. I'm going to really try to, I'm going to get something with a flat edge on it, like a spatula. Spatula that I use for my onions, because what I'm seeing is a lot of that flour stuck on the bottom. You want to scrape that off. That is going to be a lot of the flavor, I think. So I'm going to scrape the sides a little bit too. I see a lot of it stuck on the side. Okay, I'm going to continue with the chicken broth. Okay. And I'm going to stir it in a little more, just so it starts working in with the flour. Yeah, this spatula is actually working pretty good because I can keep scraping the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit, just barely on low, as I continue to work the broth in. Okay. Now I'm going to try to be sure I've got everything off the bottom. My pot's getting really full. I think I have room for everything in this pot. I should have used a bigger pot. Okay, next, you put in 1.5 cups of milk, and I'm using whole milk. You could use any milk, but whole milk, 2%, 1%, skim, the more percentage of fat in it, the more flavor it's gonna have. Oh, you know what? That's a 2-cup measuring cup, so I'm gonna pour some back. I was talking and not paying attention, so I'm looking for 1.5. That's 1.5. Okay, turn my burner down. It's sizzling a little more, or excuse me, boiling a little more than I want it to. Okay, so I'm gonna pour 1.5 cups of milk in. It's right in. And I'm always cleaning. And I'm gonna give it a good stir again. Okay. Then we're gonna add in 1.5 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to take the lid off. 1.5 teaspoon. Be sure that's a teaspoon. Okay. That's 1 eyeball half, 1.5. And then we're going to use 3/4 teaspoon. I'm going to eyeball this as well. So we'll eyeball the pepper. So 3/4 teaspoon of pepper. Almost out of pepper. I only get about a half out, so I'm going to add a little more. I don't think you can mess that up too much. You know what? This is almost empty. I'm just going to dump it in. See, there's nothing in there. Okay. But that's not all that goes in. So be sure and hang in there. Keep watching. There's more to the recipe. Bake. This is not baking. This is not baking. This will now simmer. So you really don't want this to boil. You really just want this to simmer now. And what we're basically waiting on is just the potatoes to get soft. So we're gonna do that for about 40 minutes. So just keep an eye on it, keep it on low heat, and just let it simmer for about 40 minutes until the potatoes get soft. Stir occasionally. And you also could keep this partially covered while you're cooking. Now we're going to cut up some green onions. This will just be for toppings on the soup. Okay, and I'm just going to put these in a little bowl so everybody can put what they want in their, when we make our soup bowls. Keeping it real in the kitchen. Okay. Now I'm gonna move, my counter is clean, so I'm gonna put that in. Now, the bacon that we had, that we fried earlier, I'm actually gonna put this right out on my cutting board. And I'm gonna get that large knife back out. Loving this knife. And I'm going to attempt to just kind of dice up the bacon, so we can also put this on top of the soup. It's gonna be so good, y'all. Okay, here my soup boiling back there. I'm gonna check on it. I'm gonna turn it down just a bit still. I'm putting the lid on it. Of course, it's gonna hold heat and cook a little faster. Just be sure I'm scraping the bottom. I don't want it to stick. Now the potatoes are still feeling pretty firm, so we're just gonna keep cooking. Okay, I'm going to finish up the bacon. Okay, that's looking big pieces over here. That looks pretty good to me. Pretty. Okay, now I'm gonna grate some cheese. This is just cheddar. It's sharp cheddar. And if you have some, or if you like sharp cheddar, this will be really good on top. You have to have cheese with it. So pick up a few other little pieces here, put it in there with the cheese. Okay, so that's gonna be really good in our soup. Okay, our soup has been boiling or simmering, low simmering, for about 40 minutes now. I'm gonna turn it down even a little bit more. I'm gonna give it another stir. And so now we are ready for, see how yummy that's looking? All right, the potatoes I can tell are getting softer. Okay, now we are going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. I'll shake it up first, okay? Open. There we go. Okay, 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Right in. Gonna give that a stir. Now it starts turning the pretty white. Okay, and it also has 1/2 cup of sour cream. Okay, let's add that right in. Spit it all out. And I'm actually gonna just take my finger. That's why it's important to have clean hands, right? I'm gonna just get that mixed up. Sour cream. I'm gonna stir it fast right here to kind of get the sour cream broken down. And then kind of go around a little bit, incorporate in. Okay, now I'll do some big. Okay, whoa, that's gonna, uh-oh. Y'all see what happened? Just lost my spoon. Keeping it real, all right. Ah, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay, so I'm gonna give that a stir. So basically the soup is done now. But what I'm going to do, what the recipe said, is to take like a potato masher and just mash it up some. I do not like really big chunks of potato in my potato soup. I rather would have more of a mushed up potato. If you like yours with big chunks, you don't have to do this. So, but I'm gonna just do I don't wanna mash all of my potatoes in here, but I'm just gonna do a few until I see, you can still see big chunks in there. I'm gonna do it a little more. I just don't like a lot of real big chunks. So I'm gonna do that a few times. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, that's how I like it. So mush in there with the big chunks. All right. Might actually do a couple more. All right, it's ready to eat. Okay, so after we've added the cold ingredients, the heavy whipping cream and the sour cream, you want to be sure you just bring it back up to just a slow simmer again, and it is complete. So I'm just giving it a good stir. I let it heat for maybe 3 or 4 more minutes just to get nice and hot again. And now I'm going to serve it up and we'll take a test. It's really good, okay? And then we'll top it with some cheese. Stick it together. A little bacon. and a little green onion. So that look amazing. And while I was letting the soup simmer, I just made some grilled cheese real quick. We like to cut them. And you gotta grab a spoon. Time to taste test. Hot. Y'all, this is so good. It takes a while to make, I will say. It is so flavorful. I love it. So I hope that you guys will get out there and try. It's your turn to recreate the plate. Thanks for watching.